How you doing, guys? Big Mac Danscore here again today. Back once again with another issue of Conquest. This is issue 9. So, issue 9 of Conquest. I've got these coming thick and fast for you at the minute. The day after I cancelled my subscription to Conquest, my next delivery arrived. So, that's why I've got all the issues at the moment up to issue 10. So, make sure you check back on Thursday morning for my review of issue 10 as well. So, issue 9, which is last week's issue. I'm nearly up to speed now. We're getting there eventually. You get Poxwalkers in here, so this is a repeated sprue of Poxwalkers. We knew the repeats were coming, so for me it's not a big disappointment. Some people are complaining that they're coming so early on in the subscription, but I think a lot of those people perhaps are people that wanted to get the first bunch of issues and then cancel before the repeats came. But the repeats, with them coming so early on, they've not been able to do that. So I think that's why some people have been disappointed getting the repeats so early. But let's talk about the issue, shall we? It's fluff heavy again. Well, it's not fluff heavy. There is a fair bit of rule stuff in the back actually. Stuff to help you. I don't know about more. There's a few more rules introduced, but it's more stuff to help you in game to make the gaming simpler when you get into bigger games. So it's kind of like it's trusting you that you've taken on board what you've learned already. And then it's saying, oh, and here's some shortcuts that you can use to improve your games, to speed up your games. So yeah, the front cover, we've got the Poxwalkers on there, all painted up nice and lovely. Check out my Poxwalker painting video if you want a nice, quick and easy Poxwalker painting guide. Check it out up here. So, then the first page is a disgusted Poxwalker here with a bionic arm. And then it talks about how Poxwalkers come from all walks of life, or former life, I guess. So Poxwalkers are individuals that have been infected by one of Nurgle's plagues, and then they've died as a result of that, or they've died whilst they've been infected with the plague, and then they come back to life as this reanimated corpse that is a Poxwalker with sort of tentacles and horns sprouting from them. All that sort of stuff, and guts spilling out, and all that disgusting Nurgly stuff. And then it talks about, on the next page, more fluff stuff, Hive World outbreaks, and it talks about the fall of Spearos as well, which is, I think Spearos is it a Hive World, or is it a Hive City? The Hive City of Spearos was once such a metropolis. Yeah, so it's a Hive City. A Hive City in the 41st millennium. Cities with millions of people, but they tower up into the sky. So it's buildings built on buildings built on buildings, and then the city. It's like a vertical city almost, kind of like what you might see in something like Fifth Element if you're not familiar with the wider lore of the 40k universe. I'd say something like Fifth Element, or something like Judge Dredd, where if you've seen the latest Dredd film, Peachtree's is like this towering mini city kind of thing, but Hive cities are kind of like that, but on a much more vast scale. So they've got like millions of inhabitants just like going up into the sky, and the higher you get to the top of the Hive city, that's the higher ranks of society, if you like, the better off people, and all the poor people live at the bottom in all the detritus and all the nasty stuff that the rich people don't want anymore. So then, yeah, it talks about the fall of Spearos, and then it goes on to give us a galactic map in this. Black Country Wargame pointed this out, and he's exactly right with it. The map's here, and then it goes on to the next page there. Why didn't they put that on 2 pages like that? It wouldn't be that hard to rearrange the magazine, so that comes on like 2 pages next to each other, rather than on the reverse of the same page. It's a bit daft, bit of a poor design, that, in my opinion. So yeah, it tells you where there's some outbreaks in various parts of the galaxy of certain plagues, and it talks about the plagues are associated to the various plague companies of Nurgle, going from 1 to 7, basically. And then onto the assembly guide. It's like we've seen before for the Poxwalkers, same one there. And then we've got all these paints to use on our Poxwalkers now, so they can look a little bit better than the last bunch we painted. And again, it's got, let's count the pages, shall we, like I did in the last video. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages dedicated to painting this time. Now, granted, that is like a complete Poxwalker paint guide if you want to, if you're happy with this standard of painting them. It's an alright standard in my opinion for gaming. When you're stood about 2 feet away from the miniature, you can tell what the miniature is. That's the main thing for me with gaming with miniatures. As long as you can tell what the miniature is, then that's the main thing, and it's different from your opponent. And you know, you can fight Death Guard against Death Guard, or Orcs against Orcs, Space Marines against Space Marines. So they're not necessarily always going to be that different. But as long as you know what each unit is and you can identify them at a glance, and it just makes it easier gaming-wise. You're not trying to figure out which unit's which. And then onto the gaming bit, then the Endless Tide. So this scenario, the scenario they set you up within this issue is Calcius, the Lieutenant. Calcius. I've still not got mine built. He's still on sprue here. I'm plucking up the courage to shave all the Ultramarine symbols off. I watched a video by Bases of Operations where he shaved all the Ultramarine symbols off of this miniature and swapped the sword out with another sword, which I'm not sure how far I'll go with that. But I have been practicing shaving off the eagle off of a chest plate here on a Primaris Marine Intercessor. So yeah, it's Calcius against 12 Poxwalkers, so a horde of 12 Poxwalkers against Calcius. I was just running through the numbers earlier when I was in work and had a bit of spare time, and I was thinking it's actually going to be pretty close that, because Calcius, the way he can hit and wound, he's much more likely to, he's going to be taking out about 3 Poxwalkers a turn, realistically. This is my maths hammer. But the Poxwalkers will potentially, if they can get into combat, as soon as they start getting into combat with him, they'll take off a wound per turn as well. And basically the mission is you've got 5 turns to get Calcius off the other side of the board, or to the other deployment zone. That's what the mission is in this magazine, which is a cool little mission. There's various ways you can do that. As a Poxwalker player though, here's a really gamey way of doing it. So Calcius is here, and then he's got to get over here to this particular deployment circle on the Imperium side, and then the Poxwalkers are here. But what I do as a Poxwalker player is just move them there, and then see if you can fight through all the Poxwalkers. Because as the Poxwalker player, you get to choose which ones are removed. So you're never going to choose the one that's on that and blocking him from escaping. So I'd take my chances doing it that way. But that's a bit of a cheesy way to play, and I'm not playing to the narrative there. The narrative would be that the Poxwalkers see Calcius move in, and they hear him moving about, and they want to get to him and kill him and make him one of them. So playing to the narrative, you wouldn't do that, but just as a cheesy way for potentially the Poxwalkers to win, because there's no guarantee you'd win doing it that way, because he's quite proficient with both the pistol he's got and with the blade he's got. So he's taken out about 3 a turn. He could have the Poxwalkers wiped out in 4 turns. So we'd see. We'd have to wait and see with that. Play through it yourself. Let me know how you get on if you try it that way. But yeah, other than that, it also tells you about moving large units. So moving large units, instead of measuring for every single model, what they recommend you do, and this is what I think most experienced Warhammer players do, and wargamers in general probably. So you measure one model, you move that, and then you move the others into a position where they were, so they've moved like 5 inches. Unless there's a bit of intervening terrain, in which case you might have to measure a few times. But if they're moving across the open field of battle, then you're only going to have to measure once. Especially if they're ranked up like this, nice and neat. Which, as a person who's played Orcs now and again, they're not ranked up like that typically, nice and neat. But if they are ranked up nice and neat, you can just move one and then move all the others to the same grid pattern that you had them in anyway. So yeah, they recommend you do that. And rolling in batches as well, they talk about. Where is the rolling in batches bit? Oh yeah, fighting in large numbers, rolling in batches. So here they just talk about rolling in batches. If you've got a weapon that's got the same chance of hitting, so for argument's sake, the Poxwalkers hit on 5s in close combat. So it's got the same chance of hitting and the same chance of wounding as well. Then roll all of them dice together instead of rolling one dice at a time. The only problem with that is they say do that, but the Poxwalkers get 24 attacks when there's 12 of them. They might even get... There's another rule for Poxwalkers in here somewhere. I think it must be near the back. Disease Horde, a Poxwalker add 1 to hit rolls. No, so it's not that they get an extra attack, but the Poxwalkers get 12 of them get 24 attacks in close combat, and you've only got 6 dice that have come with this magazine, so you're going to have to go out and buy yourself some more dice if you've not already done so. So yeah, it's a pretty good issue, just telling you how to game faster basically in the gaming section. It's got a nice little scenario in there, a narrative scenario, with Calcius being sort of this heroic lieutenant trying to get to the reinforcements that he needs to get to and marshal, if you like. Trying to fight through a zombie horde effectively. And then the final page goes on to the extra rules. The disease horde, which I already said, the Poxwalkers, when they're in numbers of more than 10, and there's more than 10 in the unit, you add 1 to all to hit rolls, so instead of hitting on 5s, it starts to hit on 4s, which is good. And it introduces grenades to you as well, so all the Space Marine units have grenades, frag grenades in this instance. I think most Space Marine units in the main expanded 40k game, they have typically frag and crack grenades. So a crack grenade's used for getting through a vehicle or a particularly tough infantry. If you say you want to kill a Terminator or something, you're more likely to get through the armor with a crack grenade. But the frag grenades are for cutting through large numbers of low armoured opponents basically, so they're really useful against something like Poxwalkers. And the blight grenades for the Death Guard as well. It's only the Death Guard Plague Marines that have the blight grenades though, it's not the Poxwalkers themselves. So you wouldn't be using them in this mission, the blight grenades, but it's if you want to come back and try this mission, a similar mission, where it's, for argument's sake, the Death Guard Plague Marines and against Calcius, or the Death Guard Plague Marines against the Librarian, something along those lines, then you could always come back and try that mission with different miniatures. So again, a pretty good issue I think. In terms of value, as I mentioned at the start, you're getting the 6 Poxwalkers, which are £10 to buy direct from Games Workshop, so you're saving around £2, but as I always say, you can always get them from a third-party retailer where you'll save about 15-20%, something like that. So you're looking at about the same amount of value as the magazine, as you're paying for the magazine. So all in all, a good issue I think. And the next issue, let's take a look. Issue 10, it's the one with the Mephitic Blight Hauler. Is it Mephitic Blight Hauler? Yeah, the Mephitic Blight Hauler. And then the following issue, issue 11 next week, has got the easy to build Primaris Aggressors in, which I am excited to get my hands on. I actually, nearly fell off my chair. I already have some easy to build Primaris Aggressors, so now I'll have a unit of 6 if I eventually get them ones built that are on a shelf behind me basically, and the ones that come in next week's magazine. So 2 good value issues there by the looks of it. I think I can't remember, I think the Aggressors might be £20 and the Blight Hauler I think is £25 to buy direct from Games Workshop. So 2 really good value issues. If you're looking at getting the high value issues, they're definitely 2 issues to pick up for you. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think of the issue yourself. Have you got the issue? Have you got your subscription? I'm now unsubscribed. I'm just going to be picking it up from the shop on a weekly basis. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to check back on Thursday morning for my review of issue 10. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.